So welcome everyone. So glad that you could join us, and we're really excited about that. So what the format is for tonight is we're probably going to take the next at least, just 45 minutes, I think. And we will, hi Kim, and we will, give some time for questions as well as some time to chat. But what we do want you to do, and I've got another screen open next to me, and I'm going to control some of the questions that are coming in. So, if it comes to the top of your mind and you want to record it, just put it in the chat and then I can, pick that up.
Yeah, any questions, and we'll come back to them if we can't answer them right at the time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so, particularly why do a webinar? Well, this particular webinar on social media, because I've said to Kelly all along, as the grassroots businesswoman that, from a couple of years ago, starting out a couple of years ago, I used to immensely feel the pressure of having to have, great posts that just absolutely hit the nail on the head and got the people in, got the comments, just got that momentum going. And I used to, honestly, I would definitely be one of those people that panic posted. So I would get up and, I was working full time at the time. I would get up and it would be, oh, flop, I've got to do a post. So I just find something. And luckily I belonged to a company that had a huge amount of material that I could lift from somewhere else and, put into my post. But that just became okay, saved. I'm saved. Like, I'm saved for 24 hours or until tonight when I get home and I'm doing a live about something. Yeah. So what we might do actually is just get everyone to mute. If you haven't muted, if you can just mute for this part, that would be really helpful. So getting new material and new ideas, I never just took the time to actually spend some time thinking about it or planning it. Or what I would do is that cycle of demand would come, and what I'd do is I'd just go out and buy a package, right? A package of U-Butte posts that you can use for 365 days a year.
Did you really?
Yeah, totally.
That's so funny.
That's what I mean. You are in that cycle of just trying to do as much as you can, because everyone tells you that if you're not on social media, if you're not being seen, then you really are. And if you're not consistent, which is a really big word in social media, no one will ever see you, and you'll never get your product or your service recognized or seen. So it was a lot of pressure, and particularly as a startup, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do everything they say. For me also, I was looking at other women in my network marketing company going, oh my gosh, they are amazing, look what they're doing. And then sometimes I was seeing what other people were doing and going, that's just not, I can't do that. So anyway, we're going to get to that. So there was this sense, and I
think there's that diminishing return. I think you get into that cycle of demand, and you just, at some point you just kind of go offline, and you just go AWOL. So,
you just give up.
Yeah, I think it is fatigue.
You give up.
Total fatigue.
It is fatigue, and somewhere in there also you lose a bit of confidence, and you think, who really wants to listen? No one else is listening. No one's reposting, and blah blah blah. So I think that what I'm excited about is that I've watched Kelly over the years with the organisations that Kelly's been involved in and headed up. And even in fact, this time last year, we were doing a lot during COVID, and I was watching Kelly do a lot of her social media through her organisations, and I was just amazed at the organisation. So I think you're in for a real treat. I am. I'm looking forward to it because I think what Kelly brings to the table is it's a very structured way of looking at your social media firstly and then actually executing it. So I think it's going to be really good.
And I think the great thing about it is that we both are those grassroots leaders ourselves. Yeah. So we're not coming from a position of, this is probably what we thought we'd do the webinar for, because we're not really coming from a position of being the professionals who this is our core business, is to train on social media. We're actually coming from the position of, we're a small business women who have led organisations at the grassroots, and things that we have learned from going to training is true, and then applying it. So it's kind of like that applied wisdom, applied knowledge, as opposed to just being the potential knowledge. So hopefully it really helps. That's the plan for today.
Oh, without doubt, absolutely. So without further ado, let's talk about why the heck are we on social media? Sorry, that was in Katie's. And why the heck are we on social media, Kels? Like,
well, the thing about it is unavoidable, I think, in today's, the way that today's society operates. You just got to, if you want to have a small business, that there is a necessity to be on a social media platform. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't, all the confusion we've got going right now about Facebook and is Facebook going to last, and Facebook's manipulations, which are all potentially true.
Yeah.
But I think what we've learned in the last 10 years, and I say 10 because I was probably slow off the boat, but 10 years ago, I realized I'm not a technological person, far more face-to-face, far more interactional, but I just recognized that there's a lot of people I did not meet, and they were actually meeting on different social media platforms and talking and listening and looking. And so I think that you know, they say that in Australia, it's one of the highest Facebook populations in the world percentages. We're at 95%. Perth,
really
in fact,
high.
WA is really high for women, and those women between 30 and 55. So I think that, you know, you kind of you can't ignore that. That's where people are, and I think that you just have to have your own integrity about how you do that, which is why we talk about having a social media, thinking about social media. So I'd suggest the first reason we're on it is for awareness. Okay, we want to create an awareness and awareness about our products, our services, and another time we'll talk about having a page separate to your personal page. So I have a personal page and I have organizational pages, and I actually use them quite differently. So we can talk about that at another point. But I think there's a real value in your personal page, not just remaining. I sometimes will express things about my organization, but I always refer to the organization as opposed to make out as if it's the organization posting there. So I think there's a few little things you can do, but I think its awareness is really important for the products and services that you're involved in, because it's essentially what you're having is a little billboard. A little billboard that you've got, a little mobile billboard. You know, you used to have the old idea where it was on the side of the road, they had huge billboards, you drove past. Well, that's really what your social media is. Here's my little billboard, have a look, see what I've got. But can I say the second thing that you're actually bringing an awareness to is actually who you are and your values as a person and as a business. You know, you actually have to understand that the thing that people do is they actually end up buying you. They're not.
You are your brand.
There's lots of ways that people, you know, can actually go out and buy a garage door from a different supplier, or they can, you know, we haven't got a product that no one else has got in the world for the most part. But to actually buy us, I really like what Simon Sinek says when he says, he's a leadership guy, and he says that you know, you don't, sometimes we think for the position of everyone needs what I've got, you know, it needs to have what we've got, but he said, you're actually looking for the people who believe what you believe. And then they buy your product. And I was thinking about that in terms of so much, if we don't post about our values and what we do believe in ways that are really authentic and natural, people never actually get it to buy into us. So in the coming weeks, we'll talk a bit more about that. So the second reason that I reckon people were on it is for connecting. We're actually trying to connect with the people that we know and the people that we know. So I think they're the two primary reasons that we're on social media. I don't believe we're on social media largely to be a direct sales platform or a direct resourcing platform. It's actually more difficult. Volunteering is actually quite strong on it, but otherwise it's quite difficult. Maybe what other reason? I know you.
Well, I think on that note, I think groups can be a completely different scenario for resourcing. But that's only a community that's built around that product or built around that information. But certainly on your profile and certainly on your business page, you're absolutely right. The word social media has got the word social in it. It really is about bringing awareness,
connecting, and education is another strong.
But people aren't going to, you know, Facebook has algorithms which are based on, firstly, lives. You do a live and you're at the top of the algorithm. And if you do, the next one was faces in photos, or else it was, the next one was outside, you know, that was the next one. And then it was photos, faces, whatever it was, they were both really high. Any text was way down. You know, so
and that's what we'll talk about in content. We'll talk about this in content, but what they're saying is essentially it's a people platform, and it always will be. Maybe anyone there had if anyone's got any kind of ideas about what reasons they kind of see themselves being on social media. Hey, let's just open up the chat for anyone to make any comments there.
You've all been given permission to talk, so you can all just unmute yourself. So if you want to talk, just Kim, I've now given you permission, and someone by the name of S, I've given you permission.
Thank you.
I can hear someone.
So does anyone have any other reason that they see themselves being on social media?
I agree, definitely. For me, I mean, I haven't actually started my business yet, but for me, it's definitely been a case of making people aware of who I am and where I come from, and my belief, particularly in my case, around caring for the earth and the environment and people, because that's a big part of my business. And at the moment too, I'm sharing the amazing work that other makers are doing in Western Australia.
Yep. Don't know what that is.
Just be someone has got theirs on. If someone comes in the room, don't worry, just mute yourself for that minute. Yeah, I agree. It's so if you can get that awareness and that values thing out there, Patricia, it really does provide an enormous. Kim, was that Kim?
Kim was Kim, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was said Patricia there. Kim, if you can get that out well before you start, you actually already have people who start to understand what you believe, and it makes a lot more sense than when you bring a product or a service. So
yeah,
I guess so.
And also, Patricia had said maybe that's where you saw for brand awareness. Absolutely.
Yes, your brand. Yeah, what you're going to do. So I think that in saying that, that's one thing you've got to be really clear about. What are you on the social media for?
Yeah.
Which of these things? And I reckon you should just, wherever you are, write down for yourself maybe 3 things that you go, I want to keep reminding myself why I do this.
Yeah.
Right. So, because if you write that down, I want you to write that down on one side of the page. And then if you actually just draw a line down, and then on the other side of the page, I want you to write a question at the top of it that says, well, how are you measuring it?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because the challenge that we have is that we so often say that that's what we're there for, and then we measure it completely differently and we get discouraged, right? Or we don't put in strategies that are going to achieve the outcome that we want. So if I say that my goal is to get awareness around my values, well then how am I going to measure that? I might be saying things like, gosh, that's a bit more around comments, or that's a bit more around people sharing it. You know, people are more likely to share a value than they are to share a product. That's it, because if it resonates with them, they say, oh, I love that. You know, that's what I believe in too. So it's people will more often share around your beliefs and values than they will around your product or your service. But that doesn't matter. That's actually a fantastic way of building up
connecting.
And then the one thing that we all know is that as soon as it comes into someone else's feed, if it resonates with them, they click to have a look at who you are. And that's where people start from, the who are you. So I'd suggest, so how are you measuring right now, whatever your goals are? Who has got a clear measurements that they're using to follow, and tell me why those measurements make sense for you? Has anyone got a specific measures that they use? So if we say no, if we maybe we just say
there's one comment here Patricia just quickly made, that Facebook has changed the algorithm. Yeah. That unless we pay, as in Facebook ads, that they're not allowing they're not going to be promoting posts that are around products.
That's how
else they're going to make
that's money. Something that we're all contesting with. So I think let me just give you the outlines of the different things you can use to measure, right? So one thing you can measure, and this is what you can look on the analytics, you can measure reach, which is just getting an idea of how many people did see your post. Because if your post at the end of it got 5 people saw it, or you just got to realize, gosh, I've got to address that, right? Because my whole idea about awareness means lots of people need to see it, right? So, then we can go back and start talking about Australia. The second, that's a number of people. The engagements is another measure, which is, it's not really about how many people see it. It's about how many people respond. And they respond because they do like it, or they do make a comment, or they do share it. They just do anything that you say, oh, golly, that went beyond just them seeing it. That's my second measure that I use. The third one is your click-throughs. How many people took action on it? They either went to your website, they went to other posts, they checked it out, they looked a bit further into you. That's another measure.
Which you can only measure on your Facebook page, not on your
private. Yeah, on your private one. So, and most of these guys would hopefully set. Then you can have a measure. Did any of this actually click through to my shop? If you do have a shop, And when I do some stuff around selling products around a particular thing like a Mother's Day, then I do actually look at that as well. I don't do it on a regular basis, but I have a specific campaign. Then I want to see the value that actually that was in actually driving any form of sales. Then I measure shares for some things. And again, because for me, that's largely around values. Are people buying into this? Do they actually believe what I believe? Or do I have a whole lot of people who don't believe it? Because I know that if they don't believe what I believe, they're not going to want to do it. And I understand that. I wouldn't get involved either if I didn't believe in it. No. So I think it's fine. And then the last thing I don't tend to measure is likes, because it really is your friends.
And your mum.
My friends would always just click it because they like me, and they're like, I don't want to feel bad. And so most of us are measuring likes, but really all we're saying is, well, my mum said yes, and my sister, and my good friends. They don't tend to comment unless they agree with it, but they do like it because they know they want to. They're giving it's like a high five, like there you go, darling, you're doing great. So I think that you need to think about that, right? How you're measuring it. So I think when you measure, what you actually end up working out, and this has been my experience too, you start to work out where you're over investing.
Oh yes.
Where you're over investing.
Can I just say, that's probably, if you'd said this to me a year and a half ago, I think it would have really helped me to actually look at what I was doing, because I know I was spending the wrong amount of time on the wrong amount of measuring and evaluating. And I just, as a result, just didn't get the results that I wanted because I just didn't think of it like that.
No, because you're on the cycle of demand.
You're on the cycle of demand. Yeah, that's right.
But if you can sit back and go, what's this costing me in time?
Yeah.
What's this costing me in emotional energy? What's this costing me in stress? And then it may be costing you in money. You have to kind of go, I'm not going to become a slave to this.
No.
And a little bit about today is about that, helping us to really I'm going to know what I'm here for.
Yep.
I'm going to set up a few measures, which again, we're going to do this over these next few weeks. So you don't have to get everything today. This is just a little bit of an intro. And then the idea,
we've got 3 weeks.
And then we're going to do the idea about how, and then you make a decision, how much we're going to invest into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Kim just made a comment. She said, what about other people saving your posts? Is that a new way of measuring too, especially on Instagram?
Yeah. That would be another way that you could.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Yeah,
I think, because I would suggest that for me would be a response.
I think you'd have to look carefully though at who the people are that are saving them. If they're from your
rivals,
that's probably not worth counting. Although it can actually tell you that you are on point and you're being maybe not rivals. That's right. So you're on point, and people want to copy what you're doing.
Because we are all sharing essentially in that social media space. We actually are all sharing the same information. It's actually not bad, but it is I think that measuring. Wow,
these measurements are amazing. Thank you.
There's enough. We don't have to have a scarcity mindset where we think that whatever we have, if we share it, that somehow we lose, because you actually don't. So
I'm really glad you said that, because I absolutely totally agree with that. There's plenty of room at the table, and that's something I always do in my head is, no, there's plenty of room at the table. What this other person's doing is fabulous, and some people are just so much better at different parts of social media, whether it's the design, whether it's the live video, whether whichever part it is, and they're over there in their lane running and doing their bit, and that's really exciting. I think that what we've got to do is yes, let other people do what they're doing. Look at what's working for them. It might work for us. I mean, that's something you can ask yourself. But trying to protect yourself.
I also think for the most part is that we're not, again, we all are uniquely a bit different, and different people actually like.
Yeah.
They might see the same things, but they're actually seeing different reasons to follow or be involved with different ones of us. So anyway, that's the idea of that. Now I want to say is really we've only got about 25 minutes here, so we'll take some questions a bit. But it's good having the questions come through, guys. That's all the comments. It's great, so we can actually keep this thing on point and answer any questions as they come along. But okay, here's the big learning from today, and that's this: there is an option, and it's an option that I learned, quite a few years ago now, and it's planning, having a social media plan. Now, you know, it doesn't sound mind-boggling, does it? But the discipline of it is completely mind-boggling, because the discipline of it actually stops you being a slave to this social media.
Yeah.
And it allows you to be thoughtful, strategic, and actually carefully measuring then what are you going to do on social media? What was the return? And you can think, gosh, you know what? It cost me that. It was really worth it. It was really worth it. And it just makes social media become a nice place to be, especially even when related to your business, not even in your personal world, and you'll start to use it. So have a plan. Now, I'm going to give you guys just 4 thoughts here, 4 steps that I've said in having a plan. I'm going to run through them, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then today we're going to start at step 4, and we're going to work backwards over these next 2 webinars. Okay. Yep. So today we're going to work through 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to stop at 4. And that's where we're going to spend our time for the rest of today. Right. So are you ready? You guys all okay? Give us a thumbs up.
I don't know whether I can.
Just give us thumbs up in the chat thing, you guys. Make sure
yep.
Everyone feels like they're ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Great. Okay, so here's your step 1. Step 1 is this. When it comes to scheduling, how many posts are you planning on doing a week?
Very important question.
Okay, so have you sat back and gone, how many am I going to do a week? And I don't mean this week and then next week you fall in a hole, or, you know, I'm just saying, how many do you realistically think, this is how many I'm going to do each week? Yeah. Have people got a clear and present number, and have you thought about how you're going to make that happen? So how many people have got a clear number that they've decided each day? How many they do is? We've got Monica saying 1 per week.
Yep.
We've got Kim asking, how many do you reckon is ideal? Who else has got a question there? Who else is going to give an answer, question or an answer? Heather's saying about 3 a week. 2 to 3 from Brenda. Great.
7.
At least 7. Wow, Michelle, that's a big number.
It's a lot.
That's a big number. But
it could just be dependent on your product and your service, what you're doing. So.
And we can talk. So I'd suggest that
3 a week. 3 a week from
3. I'd suggest that you want to be doing 3 to 4 a week as a solo, this home, you know, our solo business person, you know, a business person who's trying to do everything pretty much yourself. I think 3 to 4 posts is probably what's manageable. And it is enough if you are consistent. Okay. This really is that word. If you are consistent, it is enough to start to drive to people who start to see. And when I'm going to be able to tell you is that with 3 to 4 posts a week, you can repurpose content all over the shop. It does not have to be original every week, which again, we'll talk about. You can use especially the same little bit of written content with a different picture. Some messages you should be saying over and over again. They should be appearing once a month in your feed because of the different people who pick them up. So I suggest you're looking at 3 to 4 a week. Second question, which when again, remember, we're going to work backwards towards this and we'll land there in a few weeks' time. Second thing is, how are you going to coordinate and align your information? One of the biggest challenges people have on social media, Kate, is that their social media looks like a,
dog's breakfast.
I shouldn't say dog's breakfast. can look like a dog's breakfast. In other words, it's
pizza.
It's not leading. It's not actually kind of building. If you think about it, it's that, say if you think over a month, you're like building a picture, or over 2 months, you're building a picture. And so all those little pieces, they mightn't look at that to everyone else, but they've got this intent from you, because you are building either a picture like my business. This aspect of my business is very original, so that may be your concept, right? I'm building this. Second thing maybe is I actually have an integrity around the way I treat my customers, right? And that may be the way. So you actually build a picture around one idea. Now we're going to talk about that, I'll talk about that, but that's not till next week. Okay.
Do not bring that in right now.
I'm just doing a teaser, just a little teaser. Okay. So the third question I'd ask you is, how do you plan? How do you think to increase the likelihood of people doing more than just looking at your posts? What are you doing in the way you're writing posts or presenting posts to actually increase the likelihood of people engaging? Have you got a particular posts that you do that are very strategic, that are about engagement? So does anyone have any specific little things they're doing right now? And I don't mean I just try to have a better picture. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going like, no, even the kind of posts that you write, do you have a particular variety that you try to do to actually increase, and which ones have you found increase the actual engagement factor?
Yeah.
We've got someone there. Kim's asking a question. Go for
asking
it, Kim.
questions. She's saying asking questions is her.
Oh,
is her kind of post. It's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Asking questions, and it definitely has a strength. When you actually, and even if no one responds, it can still have that same benefit. Brenda's saying
researching language and including a call to action. Yes, absolutely. Monica's saying live video post, which gets most response and shares, without doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it funny? It's the hardest one to do for many. Yet it gets the most. And having a personal story.
Having a story, yeah. So we've got
story of origin,
and so we'll have what we'll do over that again next week. I'm going to just talk to you next week about different kind of types of posts that you can put into your planning system, so that you have got a great variety happening in terms of the type of posts that you're getting, so people don't read yours and think like, oh no, it's always going to be the same thing. They're going to get, I was looking at someone's post the other day, someone who I know, a friend of mine who's just started a small business, and every post is a product post.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm watching this every post, and
it's a really easy trap to fall into when you are new. That's because you just think that that's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
And
as I'm watching every post, a product post, and what happens is the first time people see a product post, second, third, and look, honestly, your mum's going to like it every time, right? So let's just take mums out of it because they're gorgeous.
Sisters,
friends. But I'm just saying what people do first time they'll look, and it's totally, we totally hear you, Monica, because we've all done it. We've thought that what we're trying to do is communicate information. Instead of like thinking, I'm not trying to build I'm trying to give awareness, and what I'm trying to do is make a connection. And when you think about that, a product or a service in just its raw form does not do that. So it's no shame, but we will definitely talk next couple of weeks about what kind of posts. So, but today, here's where we're landing today, guys. Here's question 4. How do you keep yourself organized and accountable? How do you keep your social media organized and accountable? Okay.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to attach your file in a minute.
Okay, we're going to give you a little tool. How's that?
How's that? Tool.
We're very practical here. Pink Owls is incredibly. Okay, we've got Excel content planner. We've got from Heather.
You can see that there, can't you? Because I'm just going to go off this screen and do something. Going to whiz over to here. So
what I actually say is that you do have to have a planner. You have a planner document, and this planner document is going to capture what you're going to do. And I do a plan. So in the organization I lead a charity, as well as got a business. So in the charity side of it, what I do is I do a monthly plan, right? And in this monthly plan, I sit down with just another person who's I like them, and they've always got some good little ideas. And what we do is we plan out everything for that month.
Yeah.
And what we do is initially we just start with, what are the different, which I'll talk about next week, what are the different categories, and then what we plot them in. So Kate, why don't we just send that to everyone?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Can we do that?
I'm just trying to.
Because then we can look at it together.
Well, we can look at it from your.
Have you got it done by your person? Has it got a?
Yeah, it's all here.
Can you show it to me and just? Well, can we just whack it up on the screen even, and then people
share
can
my
just
screen and put it up.
Let's just share a screen.
Okay, let me just find it. Where did I put it? Excuse me while I just find it. Here we go. Webinar series. It's so buried. Oh gosh, it's not there either. Is that? No, that's not it. It was in something else.
So we'll do this in a second. By categories, do you mean Kim? That's going to be that next. Oh gosh, you guys, see, I said to Kate, if we show them any documents, they're going to read ahead. I bet all of you'd be reading ahead even now and completely ignoring what we were saying. So we're talking categories. Next time it's gonna all make sense at that next webinar. It's all gonna make sense. Kate, can you just?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. It's meant to be sitting right there, and I've done something with it.
Well, can you get it from somewhere else? Because we do need it.
I'm trying to. It's PDF. Yep. So I'm going to.
That's it.
That one. That's the one. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to. I can share my screen down here. I can do that. So you're sharing. Yep. Here we go. Share my screen.
Let's go. So Kate's. We're gonna shift to Kate sharing here, and just so we can show you it. And we're going to send it to you. Right. Okay. So here's what you do. Here's what I do. And so this is not high tech, right? This is, you can do this as a written form, or you can do this on your computer, because the idea is that whatever you do, you want to make it simple, and you want to make it so that you are going to use it, right? It's not going to be some big concept that we don't look at. So this is what I do. I just put in social media plan, and on that top line there, I put in what the message is going to be for that month. What's the message, which we'll talk about next week? What's the message that I'm trying to communicate for that month? And then I put in the month, right? So April, whatever it is. So then what I do is I run through on the dates, and I go just through the dates and work out, I've worked out which of the days I get the best engagement, which of the times. Now, generally, the most successful times for, depending on your target group, okay? If your target group was business women, working in the marketplace, so a woman who goes off to, work in the bank or whatever, the best time for them is generally 10 a.m. till midday.
Yeah, right.
They're a late morning.
Yeah.
That's when they'll look at their social media. Too busy in the morning, get up, rush off, right? And that's it.
Or grab a coffee and have a look.
The home, and then, but the biggest the times for the woman, the home businesswoman, or the woman who's and sometimes you'll capture that businesswoman too, especially if she doesn't have children, is the early mornings, 6 till 8 a.m. Right?
Yep.
So you've got 6 till 8 a.m. You'll have about a 3 till 4 p.m. waiting at the school gate for that group, and then you'll have again 6 till 8 p.m. at night.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So when I think about that, I'm doing my 3 or 4 posts, and I'll often do 1 morning and 3 nights.
Yeah.
Is the way I do it. So then I'll put in the date and the time on the first one. I'll say this one's going to be on the 3rd of April, and I'm going to post this at 6 p.m. Put it in the early part of whatever that time slot is, by the way. Don't wait to post till 8 if you know that you're trying to capture people between 6 and 8, right? So you'd put in the time. Then I put in the type of post, which is what we're going to talk about next week. Then I put in who is the person that I'm targeting with that post. So what we've talked about before is that your market is not every person.
No. You'd be exhausted
on social media.
Yeah.
Right. Your target person is the person who you know is typical of the person who wants your product or your service. What's the kind of person? So with a charity that I run, what I know is I've got about 5 different types of people who actually likely to engage with me.
Demographic groups. Yeah.
I've got 5. Yeah. And each of those I haven't given a name. I have a little description for, and I really understand her. And when I write a post, I know whether it's for her or not. I don't try and write to every person who I know in my charity.
Yeah.
I just say, who's my target person? And so I might have Selling Sally. That's one of mine. So I say, this one's for Selling Sally. And so when I'm then writing the content, I'm very clear. This is what I've already know the big idea. Remember the big idea I have at the top of social media plan. I already know the date I'm going to capture in a morning or a night. I know which type of post I'm going to write. I know who she is. Then I write my content. And at the end, I put the author, because sometimes I ask other people to write for me. Because sometimes I'm not great at writing. I'll think, gosh, I don't think I'm going to write great for this person. I want to write to a younger person, and I want her to be about between, I've got this group, I try to reach 18 to 25, and, I'm just not 18 to 25. Am I? Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not.
You wanted me to say, oh, yeah.
I wanted you 26. To say you could be.
Oh, yeah, you could be.
18 to 25. So, so I have a couple of other younger women who I know, who I say, look, I want to write around this topic.
Yeah, can you do it for me?
Can you just write this for me? And I just want you to write.
And it's absolutely amazing how much better they do.
Oh my gosh.
It really is, isn't it?
And the great thing is, because you've written down who the author is, you've got a strong accountability, because you've given it to them with a date, and you've got to, and after that always put their little target date. Yeah. So I'm going to post this on the 3rd of April. So I need you, I want it by the 14th of March. Can you do that for me? Yeah. So you get them to make a nice commitment, but you only get them once or twice a month maximum to get someone else, because you can't rely necessarily on that other person all the time. No. Right. So I just do this plan, and this plan is my accountability. Because if I have this plan, now I'm going to also show you, and one of the other days when we get to the last week, about how you can schedule that into a little task planner. But for me, having just a really simple chart like that is an absolute saver. Yeah. Because I'm not thinking, and I often do the whole lot of mine in one afternoon. I get them all ready. So I never am doing something on the day it's due. I've done them. I've done the plan. I've done the month before. So I'll spend a couple of days or a couple of nights going through, doing those, get them all ready. And I'm not a slave to the computer. I wouldn't even have looked at social media. Gosh, I just don't have to look at it, because I know what's going up. I know I've got it all scheduled, and I know that I've got a way, it notifies me if someone's made comments so that I can go in and respond to that. But otherwise, I'm just not a slave to it. Yeah. So I think the social media plan, really, if we build a really good one, it'll actually help you immensely. Yeah. And I'm just a small business leader like you, and I haven't got time, and I don't want to be a slave to something that is really, it's got its place, but it's not my whole business. No. That's good. Have we got some comments coming through there? And let's say comments and questions. Love to hear from you. Now's your...
you can see them there.
Can I see them?
If you go down to chat here, you can see them there, because I'm still... Yep, here we go. Excel content planner, great. Brilliant idea.
Social content buckets. Gosh, I haven't heard the term, Kim. Social content buckets. Maybe you can tell me what the term is. I don't go to a whole lot of social media stuff these days, because
you have though. You've done some extensive stuff.
I've done stuff. Yeah. And I know this looks really simple, doesn't it? And you might look at me like, oh my gosh, I think you should have come up with a bit more rocket science idea. But
no,
I think
I listen to this and I go, I remember being so overwhelmed that if I'd had something so simple to follow, I would have done such a better job. And I actually did really, really well on my own anyway. I'm not saying that I didn't, but I just know that if I'd had that simple process, I wouldn't have gone looking in so many different places to discover the magic, or the silver bullet, remember?
Yeah, the silver bullet. But and the problem with going to other places, remember, is that people are actually buying you, and people want to know who you are. So if you're actually importing all of this product from someone else, so I say even getting someone to write, you only do that once or twice a month, because ultimately you're trying to show people who you are. Yeah. You're not actually just trying to sell them a product. You're actually saying, oh, this is what I believe, and I want you to buy into that. So that's why you need to know really before and well in advance, and you have yourself prepped. Yeah. And you can share, like I was thinking about things like people who are in that kind of massage therapy area. There's so much stuff that you can actually be telling people about, just what's good for them, the area of wellness. If you're talking about, I know that Trina has a spa and that cosmetic beauty treatment. Yep. It's like, you can be telling them the things you believe. I was hearing you speak the other day, and you're saying, that beauty's within. Yeah. And it's that reminder. But also that thing that you said, that you love the fact of women leaving that place feeling like they're absolutely beautiful and feeling great about themselves. And you just say, that's what I'm about. I'm not about internal beauty, I'm external beauty, about how it makes you feel. This is what you've got to get clear about, and that's what you're communicating on your social media. That will build you unbelievably more connection with people, and ultimately it actually grows your business. Yeah. So Monica, I do know. So we're going to talk next week, and we actually, in some respects, it is the challenge to make sure that you're clear about your why and your beliefs and values, And so often what we think is if we've got a great product, then we've got a great business. And every business in the world, the whole trajectory of a life cycle of business just tells us that's not true. It's so many other factors are operating. Really, people have had great products and great services haven't gone the distance in business. So there's lots of other stuff operating at the same time, you know.
Well, and sorry, I have to come back to that word, the word social. You've got to be prepared to be so. If you're going to be on social media, you've got to be prepared to be social. You have to be prepared to connect on that social level and show yourself. And you can't be showing what you think other people want to see, because it's just not going to work. You can't sustain that. You have to show you. It has to be authentic to you. And someone's asked here, where was it? Somewhere, sorry, once you've done a plan about my product, how do I make it about my beliefs? It's a really, really good question. I think it's a little bit of trial and error, but I do think part of it's coming through with you, and not necessarily just about your company, but about you and different aspects of your life. It's interesting, the young girls, the 18 to 35 or 18 to 25 bracket, they have no qualms about sharing in their Insta. Every single day they'll do multiple posts. They're really into their posting, but they'll often hit on their business quite sometimes overtly and sometimes quite just to have it in the background. And they don't care. But then they're also sharing about every other aspect of their life in a big way. So I think that's where that's difficult. I think for my generation, I feel like it was always like, oh my gosh, I've gone from not having any exposure to suddenly now I've got to be sharing myself. How much do I share? Where do I stop? Where do I allow for privacy for my family? And
I think they're conversations you really have to have. They have to share. Yeah, I think you do. I think that maybe what we can do, and maybe it'd be helpful to some people, not all people, is we could actually try to do a webinar or a workshop around defining and articulating your values. Because I actually think people don't know. So people said we've all kind of moved away from this idea of values because we've seen it be so potentially abused in the corporate space, where all these values were churned out, and what we all knew is they weren't true. And so if we can take back the word values and say it doesn't belong to the corporate sector. It belongs to me. I'm the actual individual who's not only, you can be confident this value is in place, because I'm not. It's not a thousands of workplace people are going to try to keep this up. They don't believe it. It's actually me, and I do believe it. And the 2 or 3 people I gather around me, I will say, you have to believe this too. Otherwise you can't work with me. So
very true. Let's come to copying what small businesses are doing. Absolutely. They're trying to find that voice that relates to the all of us in the market. Well, not even the marketplace, just at home.
The problem is it's a tough job for them. And I reckon we have got this agile, mobile, truthful, kind of small businesses. We actually can do it. So it's really us not seeing, we can just got to look at all the great benefits we've got.
We've got the upper hand, that's right.
We have. We really, really have in this space. This is the one we've got to use, and not go for big campaigns of just driving based on price points, because that's what they have to use, and we're not using the levers that really are the true ones we've got. So anyway, I'm thinking we're getting close to a wrap up here based on some questions coming through.
We got but since we slow down a bit, what I'll do then is I'll jump on and say that we are heading towards. What was number 4, Kel?
Number 4 question is how are you keeping yourself organised and accountable? Which is when we got to the planner.
So the planner, I'm just about to put here. Now I'm hoping that is going to take you to where it wanted to go. So if someone could just check that for me.
Could someone click through and see if that's what
I don't know whether it's meant to do. I'm not liking the idea
otherwise
of
we'll
I'll just know that I will follow this up with an email, and in that email will be Kim, I'll tell you, Kim, you're on it. In that email will be the link to the social media seminar. So I'll do that as soon as we hop off tonight. So you've got that tonight.
What's the message? Okay, so what's the message? Okay. I can't go into it, Kim. You really are. You're pressing me. But the concept of what's the message?
No.
I feel like that, you know, they have those breaks at the shows, right, when you just want to get the really most important thing, and they're like, now we'll leave it till next week, which is a little bit what I'm doing, by the way. But the concept is, the message that I work on is a kind of a thematic approach. So I will talk to you guys about how to build a thematic approach to your posting. And again, I'm not at all trying to make out, we're the gurus of all of this, but what I can say is that I built a really good connected community, where I get probably, you know, a lot of posts will get 12 to 15% response, which is very high in this marketplace. And we've built up through organic, haven't brought anyone onto the page, and we'll get to, you know, about 1,800 people. And then I've got another network I'm involved. We've got 7,000, and we have not bought anyone or paid any advertising. Paid for any advertising. We have actually just done this through organic growth and using this approach. So what I can tell you is that it really does work. It's just the long game, and the long game is the people who really believe. That's good. Yeah.
Hey, so was that helpful? We just would love to have a little bit of feedback before we go.
You tell me. Yep. You tell me no, never want to see you again, we'll be heartbroken.
Now, okay, so I did try that link just then, and it will take you to a landing page from our website. If you just put in your details, I will also make sure that I connect the dots. You will get that social media planner now. Once you've filled that in, that should go straight to your inbox.
The build-up of numbers, probably I got intentional around the one that's got 7,000 has taken us about 6 years to get to.
I think now you could probably build it quicker.
Now we could.
Knowing what you know.
Knowing what I know. Didn't know anything. You know, didn't have a clue. And even my other one, which we've got now, has probably only really been 3 years of growth. But again, it's in a charity, and I'm really like, it's a charity for women, building women in businesses overseas. So I'm just saying that's such a narrow group, that people who want to involved in overseas charities, and it's women in business. So it's not children, it's not any of that. So I'm really tight. That's who I want to be following. I don't want to have 5,000, because unless they're 5,000 people who believe that.
you don't want them. Absolutely. Because they're making noise.
No problems, Julie.
So listen, we are on for our next 2 sessions are on a Wednesday night. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a good fit for you, but you will get a copy of this webinar. It's going to come to you. Now, I've heard 2 different conflicting things from Business Station. One is that it comes to you at the end of the call. The other one is that it gets edited and takes up to 5 days. So hopefully it's the first one. All right. We don't need editing. What's editing between friends? What's that do? All right. So I think really we need to.
So there's 2 things to do from here.
Okay.
One thing is, if you would like to register for the next one, which is on the, we said at the beginning, Kate, what date was it? It's on April 14th, I think. 14th of April. Yep. It's on a Wednesday night, 7 till 8. That's when we're going to do content. Oh, good on you, Monica.
In our outfits. I'll go, Kim. Thanks.
Well, gosh, now that you're saying that, maybe it can be our uniform.
All right, Monica wants a virtual jelly bean. She's registered already for all 3.
And the third, so do that. And the second thing we'd love you to do is we're going to run a seminar. Sorry about this. Who was it? Heather, I think, who's in Cairns, but the others, anyone who's in Perth, we're looking to run a seminar, which is going to be a half day, where we're going to actually get
nut this stuff out
to really look at social media for the home entrepreneur. And you're going to not only have a seminar and some really great speakers at that, but then you'll have a chance to select the one workshop that you want to go and dive into and really do a good hour at 75 minutes or 80 minutes on actually an applied skill. So not just hear talk, but actually get into a workshop and have that. So I think,
and because you're here with us now, we think the date is going to be somewhere at the end of April, maybe even the first day in May.
Yeah, so we're going to pull that together. So can you send out, how do they do that?
Okay, so that link I just put in the, she's got no idea. That link that I just put in the comments, that will take you to the landing page. And actually it's got their register for the seminar. But once you've registered for that seminar, you will also get the social media plan that we would.
But when you register for it, they haven't done register yet. It's just like really just telling us, do you register?
It's just going
registration of interest. It's just a registration
of interest. That's all. And
then we'll send you the stuff to move forward on that.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? Oh, well, you girls are awesome. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you. It was a great look. My only regret is we can't chat and we can't like sit in the same room together and hear you guys at the same time, which we really enjoy doing. That's why we'd love you to come to the seminar. I love doing this just to deliver information, but it's not.
But we want to be in a room, and we can.
In a room.
You know what? I think we all appreciate now that we can actually be in a room. So let's do it. Let's have some fun with it. So yeah, I think.
So thanks for coming.
Yeah. So we're going to see you in a couple of weeks. Oh, actually a bit more than that. Sounds fun. Yes, Kim. Of course.
We will make sure fun. We're going to have music. We are. I've got musicians. Going to have fruit bowls. Going to have flowers. All the things are going to make us feel good.
See you, lollies.
Okay. See you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Ciao.
It's been fantastic. Bye. Do we get off? Do they want to stop? We probably do. See you guys.
And end.
Bye.